catch all the animals? What is the catch of the day? The catch of the day is cow. You'd think they'd be easy to catch, but this one knew something was up.
Listen to that roar!
God,
that's
it's
Brian
so good.
Regan, who was doing the Masonic last night. Mary was at that show.
Yeah, it was
I
kind of
remember
last
when
minute
Merry
thing.
Christmas.
Thank
I
you, Dom.
remember when we played the Masonic
We did.
for the Alan Cox Show comedy tour. What a beautiful venue.
It is a weird feeling when you've been there as a performer because I'm like, I know how to get backstage. It's like I'm not going to do it.
Literally,
but I know exactly where to go.
The one and only time that I had been there is when we performed there. I had never seen a show there.
No, me either.
Yeah.
Other than ours, yeah. But he's so good. Brian Regan is my favorite comedian of all time. Always has been. He was
Really?
the first. Yeah.
Ouch.
He was. I know. I'm sorry. He was my friend. So I listened to Dane Cook for the first time. He was like the first comedian I listened to. I had his first album, Harmful If Swallowed. And a girlfriend of mine in middle school was like, my parents have this DVD of this comic, and it was Brian Regan. She's like, if you like stand-up comedy, I think you should watch this. And it was his I Walked on the Moon special from like the Tampa Improv or something like that. And she gave that to me, and I watched it over and over and over and over again. And I think I've told the story on air of
Look at me, I'm walking and I'm talking. Rudy Tooty, point and shooty.
He's just a goofy comic.
He's a goofy. He's so physical and he's so silly and it's so lighthearted. I didn't even realize he was.
Is it lighthearted? I feel like now his stuff is less lighthearted than it used to be.
For sure, he's got a divorce and he's got
he got
some
divorced.
He's
years
got
ago,
a little
yeah.
edge to him now.
I see. A
And
little
it's
bitter.
still clean, and not even bitter, but just like he's kind of done with small talk and just things that everybody's done with.
He's probably
So it's
in
not
his
as silly.
60s.
Yeah, I think he's in his early 60s.
Yeah, so he's gonna say what he wants to say, and this is how he's gonna say it. But the first time I met
61,
him, we were in Minnesota, and I've told the story before, but he came to the club that I was playing at after he did a theater show, and we were hanging out and getting drunk and doing shots, and I ended up crying at him. I was just like, "You got me through my parents' divorce. You're the reason I do stand-up comedy."
I feel like everything got you through your parents' divorce now.
What are you talking about?
Because yesterday you were talking about Pink got you through your parents' divorce, and then
It takes
It was
a lot
all
to
the
get
same
through.
time.
I imagine it takes a lot to get through your parents' divorce.
When you're 11 and it's a very toxic, horrible thing where you're constantly
I'm just
blamed.
saying you give a lot of attributes out there.
You're looking
I'm
for a lot of
teasing you right now. I'm
distractions.
just joking. Go
You
ahead.
absolutely are.
Anyway.
How dare you at 11 years old turn to music and comedy to help you through a tough time in life?
Yeah,
Make
well,
yourself feel better.
You.
Maybe if you just turn that inward and be like, all right, this wasn't my fault. They're just people that made a decision.
Yeah, like
I'll be okay.
11-year-olds do.
Yeah.
Make rational points.
Listen, maybe if you'd worked harder to keep your parents together,
Yeah.
Mary.
I know. But yeah, so the first
Can't listen to what my wife's trying to say because Mary's up there crying and laughing. Listen to Brian Regan.
But yeah, so the first time I met him was like that. And so seeing him, I still get excited. I'm like starstruck and things, but he's just so funny. I'm like literally crying, laughing, wheezing. It was so good. And just rolling, just the way that he layers the jokes. And then he closed on callbacks to 4 different jokes all wrapped into one joke. And it was just like, he's masterful. Watching someone who's so good at the thing that you have a passion for is also really cool too. And then we went and hung out at Hilarities after, and he was there, and his opener, Steven Rogers, is a buddy of mine. He's a New York comic who's super funny. And so we were all hanging out, and it's just like a really cool... God, it was so cool. Yesterday was such a good day. I know I was a bitch all day on air. And then,
Hey, whatever turns you around, man.
And then going there, really was like a 180, and just being with Josh Sneed,
But
obviously.
I thought the Brian Regan story was he got you a car.
So the Brian Regan story is
Or he sent a car for you.
No.
Oh.
So we went out. He came. We were both in Rochester. So me and Dave Waite, who's another very funny comedian.
Rochester, Minnesota, or New
Rochester,
York?
Minnesota.
Yeah, okay.
He was playing a theater there with Jackie Cation. Me and Dave Waite were playing the club in the same city.
Yep.
So they came to the club afterward. Our late show had gotten canceled, so they were going to come check out the show, and we were just all getting drunk because the late show got canceled. So we were just hanging out, whatever. He actually said that to me last night. I felt like I got this stupid smile on my face. He goes, "I'm not great. I don't have a great memory." He goes, "But I feel like we were drinking at a bar at the club, and they were vacuuming." And I was like, "They were because our show got canceled." He goes, "Oh, right. Canceled shows. What's that like?" Like
Wow.
he's just goofing off and stuff. But he
But he remembered it.
He
Yeah.
remembered. And I was like, yeah, we went to like 4 other bars after that. Top 3 drunkest I've ever been. I got so drunk I fell off his tour bus. I like missed the last step.
Right.
Face planted. But I woke up.
So what you're saying is he remembered this story after you probably recounted every
tell
last
any of
detail
this.
to him.
No, I didn't tell any of this.
Okay.
I was like, that was right. We had a good night. I'm not saying all that.
Right.
But we ended up taking the tour bus back to Minneapolis where he was playing tomorrow. And then I woke up in Minneapolis with the bartender and the server from the club. We were all in a room. He had paid for the room. And then so he brought a car to take us from Minneapolis back to Rochester.
Wow.
That's a 2-hour drive.
He's a mensch.
He was great. And he was, well, the best part about last night, we're sitting there and everybody's having a couple drinks or whatever. And we're sitting there and he had like a really endearing moment where he was like, this is what I miss most about comedy. He's like, is just hanging out with comics. And it was like all of us were kind of just quiet and letting him, let the genius talk or whatever.
Right.
And he was like, you don't get to do that a lot when you're doing your own thing. When you're doing theaters, you bring one person with you. And there's people in different cities, and he was saying how he makes a point to go to comedy clubs after shows and things like that because he just misses the camaraderie of 10 comics sitting around busting each other's balls,
Yeah.
You should have come to East End. That would have cleared up real fast. You'd be like, oh, I like being alone.
right.
All these open mic comics are real annoying.
Yeah. But
it was a great show last night.
It was so much fun. It was so cool to hang.
And how'd you get those tickets again?
Bill helped me out. It's fine. He's sitting over here. No, it was great.
Saying.
Bill hooked up the last minute tickets, and then
I wasn't able to go, and I wanted to I know that it means a lot to Mary, so I made sure that she was able to go.
Yeah.
And not have like nosebleed seats.
Yeah, I walked in and saw. It's a Live Nation venue. I used to work for House of Blues, so I knew some of the people working there. I was able to get a little upgrade, which was really nice, and yeah, it was very cool. Dan Cummins, who I go on the road with a lot, opened for Brian Regan when he was starting out. Brian took Dan on the road with him, and it was kind of a cool little shoe-in. I was like, oh, Dan Cummins says hi. I go out with him all the time, and Brian gave me a big hug after, and I could feel my face get red and my eyes well up a little bit because this guy's my idol. This is the dude that I'm my favorite comedian, and he's so good. And
right.
Yeah. So I was like, I texted Dan this morning. I was like, I got a hug from Brian Regan because I said that I knew you. But it was really cool.
The exact same thing happened to me when I brought George Carlin out on stage.
Did it?
No, none of that happened. I didn't cry. We didn't hug. We took one photo. We spoke for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then I brought him out.
But
there were no tears shed.
Not like
there
I
were
didn't
no
cry.
blushing
cheeks. The first time I met him, I cried. I physically couldn't. I couldn't contain myself because I was so
Way to make him feel comfortable the first time you meet him.
Starstruck.
Way to set a first impression.
He remembered me.
First time I saw him is when he opened for Seinfeld.
Okay.
Yeah, because those guys are super tight.
Yeah,
Speaking of Seinfeld,
he's done Comedian Cars Getting Coffee twice.
This has already probably made the rounds, but Matt, who is one of our customers, he joined us for the go-karting challenge a couple of weeks back, and he was the guy who won all of my Seinfeld VHS tapes at the Coxie Christmas a few years ago. He's like, hey, did you see this? There's a season 2 episode of Seinfeld that predicted the Cavaliers score from last night. Cavaliers beat the San Antonio Spurs last night, which I think might have been unexpected.
It was in overtime. Now, the Spurs are having a down season. They're not killing it like they usually do this year. But any road win for the Cavs is tough. So
117-109 was the final, and there was a 1991 episode of Seinfeld. It's called The Heart Attack. I remember it well because George goes to see a holistic healer, and Jerry has got some chicken scratch in his pocket from a joke that he wrote in the middle of the night, and he can't tell what it says, and so he asks the guy if he can read it and decipher what's on this piece of paper.
Cleveland 117, San Antonio 109.
That was the score of last night's game.
Yeah, that's
there you
weird.
go. In overtime.
That's funny.
So
now they had the year.
Jerry Seinfeld does it again. Alan, do you remember when Tuma Feces asked me backstage? I don't. Boy, when we used to go out with Tuma Feces, I don't remember much about that time. It was just weekenders, my second or third year here.
You guys were all really into mescaline.
Well, we were we were really hence your Christmas gift that year, and I appreciate it. But also, we would just get in the van and we'd go.
Just
and
go.
Wherever
just
we
live.
we just live,
just
man.
Vagrants.
Living
Vagrants
right.
playing metal.
Live.
Rock and roll, brother. It was such a cool night. And it was also cool, Josh Sneed had been doing it forever, 15, 20 years, to see him geek out a little bit about Brian Regan, too. He's a master across all boards. Everybody, one of those people that everybody in the business respects, and for a good reason,
Yeah.
So, a very good night last night. My face hurts from smiling and laughing.
I understand.
So hard. It was a good night.
Whatever became of poor Dennis Regan, Bill?
He's out there still doing it.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like he got leapfrogged by his
Yes, he did a
younger
little bit,
brother
yeah.
Probably.
a long time
He
ago,
does a lot more
right?
corporate stuff and a lot more like cruise ships and stuff like that. But he's out there working. And
Okay.
sometimes he'll open for Brian. So
Imagine that. Hey, brother of mine who's been doing it for longer, would you like to open for me since I became more successful than you?
I'll be
Yeah,
like,
it'll put me.
I will.
It'll put me
because
out in
Yeah,
front of people.
absolutely
It pays
will.
really well.
Yeah, that's okay. We always run Alexa promos here on the station because you can go to your Alexa and tell it to play the Alan Cox Show or whatever. They have announced that Samuel L. Jackson will be available as the voice of Alexa.
Nice.
So that may entice
Does he
me
curse?
to maybe if
He
you
better.
ask him to.
Like if you
He
say,
better.
"Hey Sam, what's the weather like?"
I
It's gold. You know what I mean?
But I
Like-
always think about it's a rollout of Amazon's celebrity voice program. Installing the voice will cost you $1, but compared to everything else, who cares? But I always think of like how much these people have to record to do these things.
right.
They've got to record a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's limited if it's celebrities. It's not going to be like actual Alexa that can seemingly answer every question. But
That's what I'm saying.
Samuel L. Jackson, you know, if I don't know, I don't know if he's going to be cursing. Probably not, right? They want it to be
But
for the
it's
family.
Samuel Jackson.
I know that's the fun part of him. So I don't know if he'll be able to do that on Alexa.
The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have laid down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please go the f to sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
Alexa, read my kid a bedtime story, please.
Do I look like a bitch?
Just like we practiced. Ready?
I'm always ready.
Showtime.
Today in Los Angeles, it's 85 degrees. Say my name. Woohoo! Oh, aren't we organized? I'm not reminding you of
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I don't know who the other celebrities will be.
I'm not reminding you of a goddamn thing.
Say what again? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm
That's
sure
fun.
people will be asking it Snakes on a Plane questions, and I'm sure they have him pre-recording
I'm
things
sure.
for what people would ask Samuel L. Jackson.
Monday to Friday snakes on this Monday to Friday
On this
plane.
melon
That-
farming plane.
I would love it if that's how they did it, where
Yeah.
they use those cable television swear words.
TBS
That'd be
editing. Mm-hmm. This Monday to Friday plane.
Stupid. So stupid.
So
Why
stupid,
even
so funny.
play it? Cut that part out.
Man, I haven't
it's
watched
just
a
funny.
movie on TV like that where they just the bleeps are so bad. Oh, it's been so long.
Well, what's Die Hard? Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. But it's Bruce Willis, but the person who did the ADR sounds German. And that's, aside from the ridiculous replacement words, that's always been a weird thing that people have noticed about that
It's
Die
not
Hard
the right
movie,
voice.
too. It's like, Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. Yeah.
Well, I think in movies now they'll have the actual actors
Go
loop
back it, yeah.
the right, like at least it's their voice. So when you hear it, it sounds normal.
Well, they've been
But
doing
back
that-
in the 80s and 90s. It was still very much.
I feel like
just
the
having
actors
somebody
did
else
it
do
then, too. They would loop it, but for some reason, that particular line, I don't
Weird,
know.
Yeah.
People are getting excited about Keanu Day. If you are a Keanu Reeves fan, boy, you talk about a guy who, it's not like he had a comeback because he never really went away, but a guy who's like living his best life in his 50s. They announced that the 4th Matrix movie and the 4th John Wick film will be released on the same day. So that's going to be a big day for him. Think of all the junkets you got to do. Christ.
I haven't seen. I only saw the first Matrix. I
Yeah,
haven't
that was
seen
the only
any other
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Leave it
did
at
3
that.
of them, and they stunk after that first one. So there's a 4th one, and then John Wick Chapter 4. Again, God bless John Wick. That first one,
never seen any of
awesome.
those either.
This last one, I was like, I got bored. I was
no,
like,
I like
oh
that.
my God, enough.
like-
I mean, there's no. What are they possibly going to do with a 4th John Wick movie?
His kid dies
Throw
and he
some
gets
knives.
revenge or something.
His dog
Dog.
gets killed, and
oh, his
you know,
dog, not even his kid.
First movie was cool because it was really well done. It was all practical effects and great stunts and you know whatever. And then the second one, you're like, okay.
The second and third one are just more of that, and so they
But
definitely
the third
lose
one, you're like,
something.
oh, okay.
But there's still some fun scenes in them.
But there's no story.
Neither. It's one. I'm not going to watch John Wick for the story.
No, you got to have a story. You got to have a
The story
beginning, a
is
middle, and an
they're
end.
still
in it.
trying to kill John Wick, and he's still trying to not die.
Yeah,
That's the
there
story.
you go. Well, there was. All I'm saying is, for the first one, there was a story.
It's like the Bournes. Bourne Ultimatum and like the Bourne Identity and things like that.
That's like a spy movie. Like those have.
There's a through line with those.
There's something going on with that. That's not. This is way cheesier, way more just like base
all
level.
About
like
a dog, huh?
The wife got him the dog, and then she died, and then the dog gets killed by someone, and he's like, you know what? I'm back.
Who is he? Is he a secret agent or something? Why does he have powers?
A retired assassin.
Yeah, no powers.
Who worked for a criminal syndicate.
No powers? That's not what they call their skill set? Powers? No. I would. If I could do Kung Fu, I'd call it my powers, for sure.
Mary, what are your powers? I can do
Cha-cha!
Cha-cha. You can do the cha-cha?
Cha-cha now, y'all.
No,
Can we do the cha-cha, the Christ cha-cha slide? Have you seen that?
No. Oh, yes, I have.
I know Kung Fu.
I had pho today.
I think that's how it's pronounced. Huh?
I had pho today for lunch. Is that why you
cool.
said that?
Broth.
Ooh, $13
Anywho,
broth. My name's Alan, and I don't like anything fun. That's what you sound like.
Again, explain to me what's fun about broth, and I'll...
It's soup.
Happily... Yeah, again, I'll happily retract my comment.
Whatever, dude. You eat tuna every day. You don't get to...
I didn't eat tuna today.
You didn't?
Nope.
When did you eat tuna last? Yesterday?
Yesterday,
Okay.
lunchtime.
So you eat the same thing all the time? I eat the same thing all the time.
I haven't eaten today yet.
You haven't eaten anything today?
No.
Your brain's going to shut down.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hey, then you'll die in your chair.
A buddy of mine, his ex, plays Janine Pirro in the Bombshell movie. So I go to IMDb and I'm just looking because it's all real. This Bombshell movie is about Fox News. Mm-hmm. So all of the actors are playing real people.
Except for, what's her face? There's
a composite. Margot Robbie is playing like a composite character. Yeah. But everybody else for like these small roles. Like, do you know who Richard Kind is?
I know that name.
He's one of Clooney's buddies. He was on Spin City back in the days on Curb Your Enthusiasm. You'd know him if you saw him. He's playing Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, that's really funny casting.
I think I would
watch a show that was like a comedy of him playing Rudy Giuliani on like HBO or Showtime.
But because there are so many people in this movie playing so many characters, I can only assume that they're in it for quick clips of like Fox News things. Because like Ashley Greene, who was in, I think, the Twilight movies, she plays Abby Huntsman. Like they have a lot of actors playing actual people. And I'm not sure why they went that deep on the casting. But my friend was like, yeah, this girl he used to go out with, who's been in a lot of stuff, is playing Janine Pirro. Tony Plana, if you know who that actor is, he's playing our coworker Geraldo Rivera.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, man, I'm sure Geraldo will be talking about that. Yeah, so somebody's playing me in the new Fox News movie.
I wish Cecily Strong was playing Janine Pirro.
Janine Pirro is a really good-looking woman for 68.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is.
But anyway...
no, she's not.
No, she's not. Lithgow is Roger Ailes. Malcolm McDowell is Rupert Murdoch. But yeah, they have a couple of...
Russell Crowe and let him reprise his role as Roger Ailes.
They cast all new people, especially since Russell Crowe seemingly doesn't need that fat suit anymore.
Oh, is he?
You get fat?
Oh, my God. Somebody got a picture of him in like a cozy at Newark Airport or something. And you're like, oh, my God.
But Lithgow and Russell Crowe are both way too tall to be Roger Ailes, and that was like the one complaint that I had. I thought it was a great performance, but he was too towering. He's supposed to be kind of small, but fat.
Yeah.
Like short and fat.
Is he supposed to be... Is he in a role that he's getting fat for? Russell Crowe?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because this picture is not good.
He's got a huge pot belly. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been a thin guy for a while.
His hand is in his butt.
He's scratching his ass.
All the way down there.
That's when you know you're comfortable with your assistant. That's how you know she's been his assistant for
a long time.
If that's his, I think that's his assistant in that photo. For a long time, is you're standing there, you're waiting to board a flight, she's just taking some notes, and you're scratching your ass.
If you just Google fat Russell Crowe.
Waiting for your coffee.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, boy. Play the guitar in the MTV.
Wasn't he the Gladiator?
He was.
Wow. Fall from grace.
That was 20 years ago, though.
Yeah.
You can't expect anybody to be that thin, but he has gotten pretty hefty.
Mm-hmm.
Life, man.
Whatever. He got divorced.
That's what I'm saying.
Made his money. What's he got to worry about?
Just be fat and hang out in your house.
Out there living in the outback, wherever he lives, munching on bloomin' onions. The whole bit.
Also, another thing, when you are a guy like Russell Crowe, you don't know how to dress when you're fat. Where you were in shape for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And there's secrets to dressing fat that hide your fat, and he either doesn't care or he doesn't know those little Those little techniques.
I had that too when I was all chubby last year because people be like, I didn't realize how big you were when I like post before and after pictures. I'm like, yeah, because I wore clothes that fit me. Like I knew how to not look fat in my clothes. Right. I was
But he's got this too small shirt on where
like a collared short sleeve shirt.
You can see like his belly hair poking out,
and it's just small enough that like the belly, like there's like a ramp to it. So instead of it like hanging straight down, it hangs out to like a point where if he were to reach up at all, his belly is just out.
Mm-hmm. He needs a Homer Simpson moo-moo, is what you're saying.
No, he just needs a 3X probably rather than a 2X.
Where's the any key? All right, I've got Magic of Lights passes for you. That goes through January 4th at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds in Berea. Drive through, dazzling lights, digital animations, a lot of fun. So I'll have those passes for you coming back. 35192 if you want to text, if you want to call us. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app.